AskReddit by renting her penis. What is something you used to think people were over-exaggerating about until you experienced it yourself? Giant sequoia trees. When I finally saw them in person, they looked fake. I could not comprehend a tree of that size. Everything is so much quieter under them and the air is cooler, too. Loneliness. Brain fog. I had an alcohol withdrawal seizure in March. My short-term memory and sense of time are absolutely shit right now. On the plus side, I haven't had a drink in over 90 days and I don't want one. Dentist chiming in. Tooth pain. I knew academically how painful they could be, until it happened to me. You know the pain is serious when you start looking forward to the inevitable root canal. You know that grief you see in dramatic movies when someone gets horrible news via phone call and just crumples to the floor wailing? Always felt like melodrama to me. Until I got the call that there had been an accident and my dad had died. Edit. Thank you for all your messages and sharing your own stories. I'm going to try to respond to everyone. I'm sorry for your loss. It's really terrible to experience. I had the opposite problem when my mother passed from an accident. I thought I would just crumble, but it was just so surreal that my brain couldn't seem to emotionally process it. I remember being in the receiving line and just looking over at her and having this what the fuck is happening sort of bewilderment. Often the people I've cared most about, I've been really surprised at how my grief played out. It's been about 9 months since and I still have a sort of weird sense about it. Like, having a I haven't called mom in a while, I should do that this weekend and then remembering. Or being surprised that she's not in my list of favorite contacts on my phone. The physical pain of getting older. Damn. The emotional pain too. I get so nostalgic and teary over the past and how much has changed. It's a weird grieving process over losing your youth and the way things were. How much stress can fuck you up physically? When I was a kid, my mum had a horrendous job in a call center that made her so stressed she could barely get out of bed on her days off and was plagued by a mysterious allergy the doctors couldn't figure out. I figured it was depression at the time, but as an adult, I know it was literally stress because then it happened to me. My last job fucked up my wages and left me with pretty much nothing for food and bills after my rent for about 2 months. I got so stressed out I shed almost all the skin in my mouth lips, had shooting pains in my arms, my skin broke out, my nails became really brittle, I was constantly nauseous and really gassy, bloated with no appetite, chest pain so bad I was sure it was a heart attack. And then like the day after the next payday, I suddenly felt pretty much fine because I wasn't as stressed anymore. That was in April and by mid-May I was 99% back to normal. My jacked up nails are still a little janky but they grow slow. I had a shit boss, screaming, making people cry, making co-workers compete really unhealthily, and I was absolutely dependent for 4 months. I simply needed the money to live. My hair was falling out and I got weird spots on my body. Luckily I got it all back. Chronic illness. There is absolutely no way you can truly understand the impact unless you experience it. Just that idea of always being sick and you will never not be sick again. And you're expected to participate in society just the same as everyone else. It's deeply fucked up. Tinnitus. It's torture. I don't mind it much cause I've had it since I was born. That means I don't know what proper silence is. Insomnia. Oh, what I would give to not have insomnia. I go through periods of sleeping more or less normal, and then for seemingly no reason, I'll have weeks on end where a good night of sleep is impossible. I'll get 2-4 hours of sleep despite pills, tea, baths, white noise, meditation, everything. I'll spend my days so deeply, utterly exhausted that I can barely think, and my whole body feels heavy, lifeless. It's hard to feel any kind of emotion, let alone happiness or contentedness. Just existing as a human-shaped puddle until the time when I can go to bed and hope to God that tonight will be different for some unknown reason. Insomnia is a real bitch. It will tank your mental health and send you spiraling real fast. Hot flashes. I didn't think they were this bad. I'm a 31-year-old man who took Wellbutrin for the past month and hot flashes are a side effect. I thought you just thought you were hot. No motherfucker, you are. You're super hot legitimately, and you have to do something about it or you'll go insane. It's not in your head. It's your brain raising your temps until you can't focus on anything else. This 56-year-old woman says yes. How great homegrown fruits and vegetables are. I figured that was just gardener talk justifying their time-consuming hobby. Then I bought a house where the previous owner had a vegetable garden and orchard. That spring I saw these things coming up out of the ground and thought, is that asparagus? Cut them and cooked them and they were incredible. Then the plums ripened. I never even liked plums, but I thought I'd try one, so I pulled it off the tree and bit into it. Well, that's not bad. Pretty juicy. Fresh picked fruit is far juicier than the stuff in stores. So anyway, I ate another plum and then another, and the next thing I know I've been standing there eating plums for like 5 minutes and the juice is literally running down my arms and dripping off my elbows. And those hard and sour strawberries you buy in stores are nothing like soft. In case you were wondering, a significant chunk of the reason for this is that fruit tends to be picked just before it becomes fully ripe, so that it'll last long enough to make it to the store, especially if it's one that they're going to need to put away so that there are fruits in the middle of the off-season. That the older you get the faster your life goes by. Please, slow down. Old people telling when rain was coming based on arthritis symptoms. Edit. There's a few studies that showed no correlation. One older one that showed some correlation. Maybe others that cast doubt on the correlation. But it's very hard to prove a negative, and the science seems heavily overshadowed by medical practitioners like radiologists, who say there is a correlation because of barometric pressure. I also found it super interesting that the people who mentioned these studies in the comments were downvoted to oblivion. I wavered back and forth about making this edit, before realizing I value accuracy more than karma. Edit 2. Typo on downvoted. I ripped my kneecap out in a bad bicycle accident in high school. I'm 40 now and can barely walk before a big thunderstorm rolls in. Seeing stars. Thought it was an exaggeration until I had a very bad coughing fit, and suddenly I'm seeing stars. Perfectly fitting terminology. Edit. Thanks for the upvotes. And really cool to see all of your stories. Such a whimsical neurological phenomenon, right? Happened to me when I was running really hard. I looked up and my first thought was, holy shit, they really are stars. The difference between humid and dry heat. I saw a thread where some fuzz were trying to argue that dry heat was worse. I'm Australian. Unless you're up north, it's all dry heat, and I'd take dry heat every day of the week over humidity. You can't escape humidity. A proper toothache. Tooth abscess. Never seen my husband cry till those 3 days when we couldn't access doctor for pain relief, antibiotics, etc. How fast time feels like it goes. Every year feels like it's going faster. The other week my 10-year-old nephew said, wow, I haven't heard this song in forever. The little dude was referring to 9 months lol. Migraines. Pure agony. Waterboarding. We were drunk and figured, it's just water. Hold your breath and you'll be fine. Then I volunteered to test it out and it was the absolute worst. Christopher Hitchens was a skeptic of waterboarding's severity as well. He was subjected to it in a controlled environment. He was then no longer a skeptic of its severity. B channel equals Vanity Fair. Deleted. I'll never forget waking up in the middle of the night in our little vacation rental, when I was maybe 12 years old, because my dad, who was a Vietnam vet, heard fireworks nearby and absolutely lost it, straight up back into war mode in a half a second. It was the only time I ever saw it, but my mom clearly had before and knew how to deal with it. Back pain. Oh yeah, let's lie on the floor at Walgreens for a little bit and wait until it stops. Panic attacks. Like, don't get me wrong, I knew it was serious, but I didn't understand the depth of how awful it feels and how 100% it feels as real as any other panic. Only happened to me one time and it felt like that moment before you get hit with a baseball bat. For like an hour. How much worse hangovers get as you age, that was a tough lesson. I'm 58 and went to pub crawl with a buddy. Got absolutely hammered. The hangover was a legit 3 days. Fuck that. Restless leg syndrome. I went to rehab and got clean from multiple substances in July 2021 and developed it about a month or so into sobriety. Holy fuck. I definitely thought it was just like some kind of tic where you had to move your legs, but that is not the fucking case at all. Edit. My doctor prescribed me baclofen, which is a muscle relaxer, and that has helped tremendously. It's so annoying. Sometimes when I go to sleep and it starts, I feel like I can kick a tank into the atmosphere. Feels like I have 2 spirits on coke in each leg. Not fun. What helps me though is using my legs during the day. Get some energy out. If I haven't moved much that day, I usually just do some squats till my legs are tired. Might not work for everyone, but it has helped me a lot. Anxiety. I thought I understood and didn't understand the big deal until I really felt it. To say it controls you is an understatement. Absolutely agree. Being at war with yourself is ass. You know every strength and weakness within your own self. There is no reasoning with anxiety. How heartbreaking it is to see your child suffering and you can't do shit about it. God. I read a comment a few years back about someone whose 6-year-old died of cancer. And at the end there was nothing they could do, they were just with him, and he was scared and in pain and there was nothing they could do, and they watched him die. I couldn't stop thinking about it for days. To be 6 and you understand that you're going away forever and your mom and dad can't come with you, and you're scared but they can do absolutely nothing. They can't help you. Fuck. I wouldn't be able to live with that in my head. Just eject me from the universe at that point. Depression. The dead giveaway that people don't understand is when they ask what's making you sad. I am not sad, I feel empty, and there is no reason for it. How incredibly amazing narcotics feel. Had back surgery and was hooked up to an IV of Dilaudid with one of those buttons so you could give yourself a little treat every 30 minutes. Holy fucking shit. I have never felt pure heavenly euphoric comfort like that before, nor have I since. I can completely see how people get addicted to the stuff. When my wife and I had COVID, we were prescribed a cough medication that had codeine in it. Now, despite being a big dude, even small doses of any sort of drug that makes you sleepy seems to hit me like a truck. And every dose of that just made like 8 hours of my life just disappear. Like it would start to feel really good for a few minutes, and the next thing I know the clock had skipped ahead like 9 hours. Combine that with the fact that the first night we had gotten some horrible information about something that happened to a close family member, and that codeine provided an almost immediate escape from having to think about it. While I didn't get hooked on it or anything, it was so easy to see how people can become dependent on it. Period cramps. I had severe appendicitis and I thought it was indigestion or something because period cramps are way worse.